Welcome into the Pigskin Preview presented by PrizePicks. I'm Nick Roush with Adam Luckett, back for another week of college football action. We're going to be previewing all the big games, sharing some picks. And Luckett, I know you are a big fan of the week one action, 5 days of football, but I actually think this weekend slate is better. Alabama, Texas, Miami, Texas A&M. Even down the line, Colorado, Nebraska is going to be huge on Big Noon, especially after that week one debut for the Buffs. But like Oklahoma, SMU, I think should be a decent game. Tulane on Miss. So we're going to talk about all the big ones. I can't get a feel for Alabama, Texas at all. I can't. I don't know which way to go. I don't know if you can take me seriously either, but shoot me straight. What are we working with here?
You go to Churchill Down Sportsbook once, and you come back looking like that. I just don't know what to do with you, you big degenerate. But I agree with you on the card. The card is better this week. We got some fun games, some fun non-conference matchups. Alabama, Texas is obviously the biggest one there. I don't know. I could see that kind of going every way except Texas winning big. I could see down there at Bryant-Denny. But it's hard for me to envision Sark's team going in there and winning. They didn't look great last week against Rice. A lot is riding on Quinn Ewers being able to throw the football, and I really like Alabama's matchup, their secondary in particular, most notably their cornerbacks. You look at Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terry and Arnold, and even their backups there. I think they're really good at corner. I think they can match Texas's personnel strengths, which is their wide receiver group. And offensively, I think Alabama will do enough and figure it out. So I think we'll have a good competitive game, but I do think the Tide will take care of business.
Yeah, I kind of imagine that to be a low-scoring game. The Miami A&M game is the one that I'm very intrigued by, and it's not on my board because I can't decide one way or the other. I like Texas A&M is going to put a lot of pressure on Miami, who they scored on their first play on an explosive, and then they didn't do anything for three quarters, and then. They averaged 6.9 yards per carry. Like, they did a lot of their workload running the football. Wegman looked good. They've got a lot of athletes to be able to get the ball to, but I just don't know if do I pay for the hook and get a -3? I'm leaning under that 51 too, because I don't think, but at the same time I could also see Petrino saving a bunch of stuff and lighting them up. So. This one's tough for me to just pick a side, but I do ultimately think A&M is going to win.
This is the bluegrass play caller principle. Would you rather lay points with Bobby Petrino, or would you rather take the points with Shannon Dawson?
Oh man,
because that's what it's
Dawson. Oh gosh,
that's what that game's going to come down to. You're going to be sitting there in the third quarter thinking, I can't believe I'm riding Shannon Dawson here, or why didn't I just play Petrino? So, to me, it's the bluegrass play caller principle. Who would you rather ride with? To me, I'd rather ride with Petrino. I think A&M goes in there and handles their business. But that's not a pick in my column because there is a lot of unknown, I think, with both of those teams. How good is Connor Wegman? How good is Tyler Van Dyke? Mm-hmm. And what do they look like against top-notch competition? Mm-hmm. Petrino, I think, is in the box. I think he was in the box last week, Nick. So he's just up there calling ball plays. What do they look like against a better team, a team with legit talent? I would say Miami has. I just don't know, and it's kind of in that gray area, right? The 4.5. That's a weird line. You're kind of in the middle. Mm-hmm. So it's a stay away from me. But if I was going to play it, I'm going to the bluegrass play caller principle.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. That's all I needed. I just needed a little push to get over the edge. Colorado is the ultimate, like week 1 to week 2, you're looking for lines where people are overreacting to week 1 scores.
Yeah.
The problem is with this is that even though I thought Nebraska did look all right, Minnesota's just offense was putrid, and they found a way to lose that game because of a bunch of red zone turnovers. So, I don't want to be on the public side on this, but that might be the only way to go. So, all of that public money is just scaring me away from it. So, I would have to – I feel obligated to stay away, except for when we're playing with PrizePicks. I know that gambling is legalized in person in Kentucky, but PrizePicks is on your phone right now, everywhere. In the state of Kentucky, they're live in 31 states, including the state of Kentucky. And when you download the PrizePicks app and use promo code KSR, they're going to match your deposit 100% up to $100. And if you got in on the action this weekend, we made some magic on Sunday night. One thing you forget, like the way PrizePicks works, you select squares, you select a couple of players, and you pick more or less. So you even if you lose one, like I did Monday night, that was the winnings I had the other one because you got multiple legs. And this week, they offer free squares from time to time. Not free. Dak Prescott has to get over a half passing yard in the NFL. So we're going to line that up with a couple of others. We're going under on Shadur Sanders passing yards, and we're going under on Quinn Ewers passing yards. I really like the Ewers. Shadur, I just feel like they're going to come down to earth a little bit from week 1 to week 2. I don't know how much, but, I mean, that Nebraska front line really got after Minnesota, and I think they'll probably be getting after Shadur. He'll be facing a lot more heat than TCU threw at him in week 1.
A couple interesting things in that matchup. Nebraska runs the 3-3-5 Rocky Long defense. Tony White worked for him, came from Syracuse to be Nebraska's defensive coordinator. That offense was created to stop spread offenses, which is what Colorado is doing. They couldn't run the ball at all last week. They're going to pass it all around the yard. You mentioned just defensively, I think they're going to be better than TCU was. And then styles make fights. Nebraska is going to run the football. And if you go and look at the snap counts, Nick, Colorado played like 13 players on defense last week. Like defensive linemen were playing the entire game. Travis Hunter was Iron Manning it on both sides of the football.
Right.
I don't know if that'll catch up to them yet, but if Nebraska can get some stops and turn this into a ground and pound type game, I think they're going to have the advantage. It's just can they turn it into that?
Can they win a one-score game? They still got the Scott Frost stink on them.
I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. That feels like what'll happen. Nebraska will probably outplay Colorado. They'll be in a position to win. Somehow they'll lose it, and the Colorado hype train can roll on. That feels like the most likely scenario.
And that's why PrizePicks is great, because you don't have to get the final score with these conflicting styles, but I am pretty confident with Shadur Sanders going under. So download the PrizePicks app, use promo code KSR. They're going to match your first deposit up to $100, 100%. So get some money to play around with. If this ticket cashes, that's a $20 bet to win $100. So Luckett, I like those odds all day, every day, especially with the free square. So download the app. Not only do they have NFL, I mean, they've got all of the games on there, baseball, you name it, it's available with PrizePicks. Luckett, it's time. I think our picks will cover the other big games of the week. So let's go ahead and get into it. I mentioned one off the top, so I'm just going to go ahead and start, even though you do have a better record than I right now. But I'm chasing a team that lost for me last week. Tulane, they really put it on South Alabama. And Pratt, 14 of 15, 294 yards, 4 touchdowns. I know that South Alabama had some turnovers that really cost them in that second half, but they've got a very hungry dog mentality. They're going into Ole Miss feeling confident. They still got that chip on their shoulder. Oh, well, hell, even better. That's where I got it twisted. But I just – Ole Miss, their last 6 games against the Power 5, they're 1-5, and that one win was a 3-point victory over Texas A&M, a bad Texas A&M team last year. So I'm going to try to keep it kind of simple. Some of it's chasing, but I trust Pratt too to be more of a playmaker than Jackson Dart. They had some guys put up some big time numbers, but they haven't been challenged this year. They ran it up on a bad opponent, where Tulane played a really good defense against South Alabama and I mean, didn't flinch whatsoever. So give me Tulane. Home dogs. Who?
Yeah, that could be the most entertaining game of the week. I mean, that could turn into a track meet there in New Orleans. So that is going to be fun. It's a midday, 3:30. Give it your second screen, maybe next to Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky. My first pick, Nick, going to El Assico. Iowa State hosting Iowa. I am going to lay the field goal and a hook here with the Hawkeyes. to put it bluntly, I just think they're better on offense and on defense. I think Iowa has the better quarterback. Iowa State, if you remember, Hunter Decker's their quarterback, is gambling suspension, essentially, and some couple other players there. It's a short number. Iowa's 9-4 against the spread as an away favorite in their last 13 occurrences. I think the total is 36.5. I just like Iowa here. It's a short number. I think they're going to cover this. So give me the Hawkeyes on the road. And they're in chase mode. They're a point behind on Brian Ferentz's race to 325 after only scoring 24 last week. So they got to catch up here. And we didn't get a defensive score. Iowa's probably due one. And their kicking game is awesome. I think Iowa's better in all three phases. So give me the Hawkeyes here laying 3.5.
The sicko play of the week is Cyhawk under 36 points. If you're a real sicko, you're chasing that under because it's the under of all unders in, as you said, the El Assico, where President Trump, he's going to be there. He only likes low-scoring games. He does Army, Navy, and he does the Cyhawk. So let's go to my second selection. This is kind of I feel bad doing it, but we're fading Virginia. They're not very good. They're playing James Madison, an interstate matchup. The Dukes, they're going to be – I mean, they were the FCS team for a while in the state. They get a chance to go on the road to beat the state school, a pretentious one at that. And look I did the math. SP Plus has this as a 13-point spread for James Madison, and the line's only -6. Like that's a touchdown difference according to the power ranking. So yeah, give me JMU all day. The Dukes -6 in Charlottesville.
Yeah, to me, it's how bad is Virginia. We'll find out on Saturday.
Yeah,
I think they're pretty bad. We're gonna find out on Saturday.
JMU's got a pretty good running back too.
Yeah, and that's a winning program. They won games last year in their first year over from the FCS. My second pick, Nick, I mean, this is an old reliable to me. This is a Luckett principle here.
Oh, love it.
Eastern Michigan plus 20.5 on the road traveling to Minnesota. Chris Creighton's Eastern Michigan Eagles are 24-6 against the spread as an away dog since 2016. 24 wins, 24 covers, 6 non-covers. That is a hell of a return on investment. And you're getting them against a Minnesota offense. Are we sure they can score 21 points in a football game?
I don't think so. That quarterback looked rough. I mean, the one
so
kid,
if Eastern
Jackson is great, but yeah, Daniel Jackson, he was amazing. But like, he's their only dynamic athlete out there.
Mm-hmm. And then you add in PJ Fleck is 1-3-1 against the spread against a group of 5 opponents since 2019. If Eastern Michigan can get to 10 points, you're strolling to the window, I think. So give me EMU, Fighting Emus, in the house, plus 20.5.
My last play is I'm kind of going into the stink. I don't want to get too overhyped one way or the other, but Texas State runs that up-tempo offense from Incarnate Word. I can't say the coach's name, but we're going over for Texas State versus UTSA. UTSA had 417 yards last week and only 14 points because they threw 3 picks. They run fast tempo. So does Texas State. Like, this is going to be a game with, I mean, it could be 20-plus possessions. I mean, I would not be surprised. I mean, they are going to get up and down, so the scoring opportunities are going to be there. If this game isn't played in the 30s, I would be shocked. And I mean, Baylor played 31 with 2 quarterbacks. They can't figure out their offense. I think UTSA just had an early bump in the road. It was their first game without Will Stein calling plays. I think they're going to go direct course with that quarterback that returned for the Roadrunners after last year. So give me the over in this battle of directional schools from the state of Texas.
Yeah, fun storyline there. The 2 head coaches, G.J. Kinney played quarterback for Jeff Traylor at Gilmer High School in Texas. So they are connected.
That's crazy.
So that's going to be that'll be a fun game for both parties there. And yeah, I think that screams track meet, no doubt about it. Third pick for me, Nick. I'm going to Waco, Texas here, and this is just going to smell. It smells
Oh, it's the
So
stinkiness.
bad.
It smells like the most foul cheese you've ever smelled in your entire life. It's like that Delta flight that got turned around. This line stinks.
Instead of going away from the smell, I'm going to the smell. Give me
Oh,
Baylor
wow.
getting a touchdown and a hook there at McLean Stadium. Just going to walk through this here. First things first, Baylor disappointing performance, I think. Last week, obviously, against Texas State, you lose. But they rolled up over 500 yards of offense. They threw the ball all over the field. Now, they did lose starting quarterback Blake Shapen, but Sawyer Robertson comes in from Mississippi State transfer, played well in limited time there last week against Texas State. I think he's a quality backup quarterback. And I think Baylor defensively was caught surprised kind of by this Art Briles version offense G.J. Kinney was running with, in a more pro-style team that I think they're going to be better suited against. You're getting them in a great bounce-back spot. Last week was a look-ahead spot for Baylor. Now they're in a bounce-back spot. Lines inflated here because of what happened last week. In Utah here, Nick. Utah, 3-8 against the spread in their last 11 as a away favorite. In the last 2 years, they have lost as an away favorite outright to Florida, San Diego State, and BYU. September away games, they do not perform well. So this is a time to fade them. Cam Rising's on track, but they're not saying if he's going to play or not. Mm-hmm. If he is or if he doesn't, I still like Baylor here. Plus 7.5. This is a big spot for them after what happened last week. I think they give an A effort here. I think Utah can win the game, but I think Baylor's not only do they have a chance, really good chance to cover, I think they got a chance to pull out the outright upset. So I'm not overreacting here on the Bears. I still like them. Plus 7.5. Give it to me.
I also think there's something to the like that Utah dominated that game, but they didn't really score a ton, and that was Baylor's problem.
If you look at the box score was not pretty for Utah in that game. They just got out to an early lead, and Florida could not finish drives.
Yeah,
and they got very conservative on offense. What does that look like without Rising? And even if Rising plays, just how healthy is he? A big part of his game is moving around,
mobility.
And if he's what's his mobility level going to be on short rest off an ACL? And I like Baylor. I mean, their backs are against the wall here. I really like this spot for them. I think Sawyer Robertson can play a little bit, and I think they got a chance to catch Utah by surprise. Utah coming over. This is going to be a conference game next year. I guess it's not cross country because Texas isn't cross country, but it's still some travel they got to do to get there. So give me the Bears here. I like Baylor here in an early kickoff too, 11 a.m. local.
Steering into the stink. Those are 6 picks for the weekend. Let's talk about Kentucky versus EKU. 31.5 is the line that's out there. Kentucky, Mark Stoops, look at crunch the numbers. He's 4-5 against FCS opponents, and against Eastern Kentucky, he's trailed twice in the fourth quarter. Or no, once was the third quarter. So twice in the second half in these games, and they've needed late scores. You've got a lot of vibes going EKU's way. There's a lot of kids from Kentucky on this team, a lot of coaches, and then also they're going to be playing with a little bit more something as Roy Kidd is on hospice care. So with all that being said, though, Luckett, this defense is really bad, and I think this offense is very motivated to get right. Whereas last week, I think there was a lot of pressure to go out and score a ton of points. I think they're just a little pissed off, and because they know they're better. They know they're a lot better. And after watching Cincinnati run up 66 on the Colonels, I do think Kentucky's going to go out there and hang a 50-burger on EKU. I went ahead and took that number, even though Mark Stoops isn't going to be one to he'll call off the dogs early. My biggest fear is a late backdoor cover by the Colonels.
Yeah. What was the total? What was the line last week with Cincinnati, Nick? Do you remember Cincinnati EKU?
24, and I think the total was in the high 50s.
Yeah, this spread just seems a little short to me for the limitations EKU has on defense. But I could be wrong in reading that. Seems a little short to me. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a situation where Kentucky has a lead, and then can EKU backdoor it late because Stoops is probably going to call off the dogs. But you're right. The offense, you want to see bounce back for Kentucky, but 1.5, I don't know. It just seems a little short to me. I thought the spread would be more than that. And so it may very well be in that backdoor territory when it's all said and done. But you do want to see the offense play better. They haven't played well the last 2 times on their stoops against EKU. It's a different EKU team. I think Kentucky's in a different stage in their program than they were in definitely. 2015 and 2017. So we'll see. EKU's going to be motivated too, I think, because they had an embarrassing performance last week. So it's a bounce back spot for them. Should be a fun crowd there at Kroger Field. Fun tailgate day. Great, beautiful weather.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think you'll see Kentucky build a lead early, and then what can EKU do in the fourth quarter? But it's going to be a good test for Kentucky's pass defense, I think, because EKU is going to throw the ball around the yard with Parker McKinney.
Yeah, just not sure how battle-tested some of those weapons are for Parker McKinney, a talented quarterback. But we're going to be excited to be back at Kroger Field. Kickoff's 3 p.m. Eastern time. Going over to the stadium. It's Heroes Day. If you're a first responder, you can get discounted tickets. There's a link at KentuckySportsRadio.com if you need to find one, because it is a computer game. ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus, 3 p.m. But should be a lot of fun. Cats back in action. We'll get to watch the early window close down in the press box. Luckett, can't wait. It was not the most profitable first weekend, but Luckett, you got to keep firing. There's no way to win your money back if you quit playing the game.
Yeah, that's how you get rid of debt.
You got to spend money to make money, baby. This has been a lot of fun on the Pigskin Preview. Join us again next week. We'll be back here for a lot more right here on the KSR YouTube channel.